We've all been there. We enter a game store after playing a game of Magic the Gathering with your cousin over the winter break. You think, I'm gonna buy myself some of these cards. They were hella fun. And you go and look at the case and you pick up a cool vampire and you're like, €1? I'm never paying that for cardboard. Well, wait till you see the top 5 most expensive Magic cards ever. So coming in at just a tiny bit more than €1 is number 5. The 5th most expensive Magic card ever sold, Time Twister.
So it's like €50? 70.
It must be at least Cavern of Souls was 70. So
True.
If 7 of Souls is not the most expensive card,
Still a little bit more. Now, in Magic, there's something called the Power 9.
They were all in alpha. It's the 9 most powerful cards of all time. No, that's not even
Debatable.
8 and Time Twister.
Especially since we mentioned Time Twister. For context, in the beginning of the game, Richard Garfield, the designer of Magic the Gathering, did not know that it would be so popular. So he didn't balance the game quite as well. At the time, he thought not a lot of people would buy the cards, so some cards that would be rare wouldn't show up that often. So he could make them really, really strong.
Yeah.
Some of these were a bit too strong. Black Lotus is a famous one. 3 mana for 0. So Time Twister was one that would just make everyone, it was symmetrical. Everyone draws 7 cards, but gets rid of their previous cards and puts their graveyard back into their library.
That's fair, it's for either.
Well, turns out you could break it. So it entered what was called the Power 9. They were agreed upon that they would never be reprinted at all. So this one was sold at a PWCC auction. And for reference, the special thing about this is we did not treat our cards very kindly back in early 2000s, early 90s.
For reference, you can see things new players say.
Well, I remember wrapping very expensive cards now in a rubber band and leaving it outside.
See-through sleeves were a major revelation.
What? You could put this small amount of plastic on your card? So it's really hard to find good quality cards from the time. Now this one was sent to a grading service that gave this card a 10.
Which is the best grade you can get.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and
like
it's incredibly unlikely and rare for these old cards.
Like on those sport events where they hold the numbers, they just never do a 10.
10. Yeah.
Basically. Oh, that would make grading so much more exciting.
Yeah. They send it to the grading office and then there's a panel of judges at 10. I like it. So for context, you can buy the cheapest Time Twister on Cardmarket right now is €9,200, which is a lot of money.
That's more than 70.
But this one was sold for $84,000.
That's like a lot of Cavern of Souls, like 1,000 Cavern of Souls.
Wait till we get to number 4.
Slotting in at number 4 is what I think the most exciting because the other cards are good, you know? Good cards are expensive, especially when they're very rare. This card, not so good. I don't think I ever seen that card being played, but it is a part of Magic's history, very iconic. We're talking about Lord of the Pit.
What do you mean not very good? It's a huge flyer. Back me up here, please.
Please write in the comments. We're not gonna embarrass Yaman publicly. Please write in the comments why you could
okay, it never won a Pro Tour or something, maybe.
find
but
one argument for Lord of the Pit.
if you include Lord of the Pit in your commander deck, I'm rooting for you.
If you want to take part of the intervention we're having soon for Jay in the Lord of the Pit, I think Lord of the Pit was a good card around 1994, and then it wasn't. You just had to pay mana and the upkeep. It was 7 mana.
Also,
7.
people didn't realize what a good card was yet. They would look at Moxus and be like, yeah, it's basically just a land.
Yeah, people had no evaluation skills. Who can blame them? There was no internet. You couldn't watch us. Like, no, and talk about top 5 things you can do with Lord of the Pit, which would be use it as a coffee coaster.
Not this one, I've heard.
In this case, people really love to play it like you, like Steven Dragon, Voice of Nature, all of those really big, really powerful cards because they looked cool.
So how much would this particular coffee coaster cost me?
So we had Time Twister at 84,000, and this one you just add 20% more, $105,000 for this piece of history, which was also a grade 10. We see a common topic here. And as in many of those very expensive cards, it's kind of art, you know? It's like, has a history.
You're not paying $105,000 to upgrade your commander.
Yeah, that's it. For context, in this case, you're not buying it as a game piece.
Yeah,
it's sealed in a plastic casing.
Not blinging out your, I have a pay in my upkeep theme. No, you're putting it on the wall and say like, this piece of history is mine. And for $105,000, that is a lot of piece of history.
So number 3 is a really wild one, and the story behind it is kind of crazy. So let's start the historical music. In 1996, Wizards of the Coast wanted to popularize the World Championships, and they gave a one-of-the-kind prize. They made a card called 1996 World Champion and wanted to make sure that there was only one in the world. So after making it, they made a whole show of destroying the printing plates. So no one could even find the plates and reprint this card. They would only be one. How much would it cost? Maybe $1. Who knows? Probably a lot.
$30.
Who knows?
$70?
As I said, who knows? Tom Champagne won that year with, not only is it fun, the whole card, but his deck, he forgot to register for Darker Wastes in his deck, which was the only card that produced blue. Now, he went to the judges and was like, I forgot to put these 4 cards. And they're like, well, the rules are you can only put 4 basic planes to replace them. So he had no way of making blue, but he had some blue cards in his deck that whenever he'd draw them, he just couldn't play them.
And still winning the tournament is impressive.
Pretty good, pretty good. I guess he could cycle them away. He had ways of discarding them. Anyways, he won and he got this one single card. And the funny thing about this card is it makes no sense. As you know, it's number 3 most expensive card ever, but it's not actually really that good. It costs 1 mana of every color to play, but it has power and toughness equal to your opponent's life total.
It's like a really weird reverse Death Shadow.
And it has Shroud. You can't target it with any spells. So if your opponent could block it, then you wouldn't get to them, but you could take them out in 1 turn. But the funny thing is a Humble Brag was included within the card, because if it's in your deck, you could discard your hand and just show it to everyone. They actually say show to all players that you're the 1996 World Champion. And I guess that's what they meant for it at first. Of course, that's not what happened, because there's only one in the world, and this game has players and collectors. So Tom Champagne sold the card a few years later. In 2001, he sold it for $17,500.
But that's less than what we discussed before.
It is less than what we discussed before, and that was the last time it was ever sold. The thing is, we know how much it is estimated value right now, because every once in a while, a fake listing shows up on eBay, fools people. It's not an obviously fake listing, and people bid for it and agree on a price. So far, it's estimated to be worth about $200,000 for this one card.
That's twice what the demonic thing
And that was
worth.
before Post Malone was even playing Magic, so it could be even more expensive now.
We're closing in on number 1, but we're not quite there yet. Our number 2 most expensive card of all time is a card that generates 3 mana for 0 mana.
Landside Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically No, it's not Landside Diamond. It's Black Lotus, the most famous, expensive, rare Magic card ever. If you ask someone, do you know Magic? And they're like, yes, I've heard of it. The most likely card they have heard about is Black Lotus. It's the famous, expensive, rare card. Now, the card we're talking about is not an actual Black Lotus, and you might be like, well, if it's a fake card, why is it worth anything? It's even better than a real Black Lotus, because artists, when they, illustrate Magic cards, Wizards of the Coast give them something called artist proofs, which are Magic cards but without a Magic backside for them to give away, to maybe keep for themselves. And these are, of course, highly sought after collector items.
Yeah, because of note, what's really cool about the artist proofs is they don't have a background. So what artists have come to do over the 30 plus years of Magic the Gathering now is they draw their own individual custom one-of-a-time art on the back. And people love to collect these. Ristic Studies did a video about this. We'll put it in the description as well. And it's so good. These are beautiful.
Yeah, so obviously, highly sought after card, highly sought after collector's item combined with this card. That makes for a crazy price of $540,000 US.
Wow.
That's absurd.
That's $500,000.
And once again, we've made a price jump by doubling the price of the last card,
Of note, this card is particularly precious because Christopher Rush, the artist, is now deceased.
Yes,
so you
that's
can't
true.
ever get any signatures, artworks from this most iconic card. Most of the time, if you tell someone you found an expensive Magic card and they don't know anything about Magic, they'll ask you if it's a Black Lotus. Now, number 1 comes with a crazy tale, but just before, there's other cards in other games that are surprisingly enough more expensive than Magic cards. And number 1 is pretty surprising. You know who bought this. You know this person. We put more a description because this is a Magic channel. We put a description a bit of the most expensive sold cards in other games in the link below. It'll bring you to the Cardmarket page. But let's get into the most expensive Magic card ever. Would you like to take a guess?
I feel like I have a hunch. I mean, this has made mainstream press.
I'll give you a hint. There's one of them. And also, every time you've since, as a Magic player, been to a family gathering, this is the one thing other people will know and ask you about.
Yep, so it's Post Malone with
Buying the One Ring. Magic the Gathering collaborated with Lord of the Rings. And if there's one thing that is famous with Lord of the Rings, after bringing the hobbits to Isengard,
Second breakfast.
if there's a third thing that's most popular about Lord of the Rings, it's the One Ring. It's the ring to rule them all. They have to throw it in a volcano. And when they designed the Magic the Gathering set that would be set in the world of the Lord of the Rings, they made a card called the One Ring. It's printed widely. There's a lot of them. It's very popular. Some people aren't very fond of it. The most important thing is they decided to make serialized versions of the card. You could buy one of 500 and there'd be a number on them, but they'd make this one single one. It was like Charlie Chocolate's Wonka's Factory ticket.
But even there, they had more of them than they had of the one ring.
Yes, this was more special than a Charlie the Chocolate Factory Wonka visit. They made one single ring with one of one, and they would put it in one booster pack that could be opened anywhere around the world. The one person who would open it, a lot of speculation happened. People would talk to each other. You'd be at a game store, they'd be like, what would you do if you found the One Ring? People were, I will hold on to it. I will not sell it to anyone else. I would keep it at home. I would maybe contact private contractors.
I would throw it into a volcano. People claimed that. I
Yes.
didn't believe a single one of them.
If it saves the world, well, I mean, you got to do what you.
We
gotta
don't
do.
know what post did it with it yet. But as soon as someone found it, they did contact apparently the professor at first, which is a popular Magic the Gathering YouTuber. And then I assume when he went public with that, he was claiming that he didn't believe the person, which I would also.
It's a sketchy. Like,
I'm pretty sure many people found the One Ring.
But
Yeah.
the people, you could buy fake copies of it online, and people were posting pictures of them dancing with stacks and stacks of One Rings. Companies all around the world and private individuals started claiming that they would offer to buy this One Ring. There's even this shop in Spain that was offering $2 million, I believe, and a paella. If ever I swear, if they give me $2 million and I didn't get my paella, if anyone would contact them after finding the One Ring. But a few years later, it's in the news. Finally, we found out.
well, it wasn't years. It was like months.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even a whole year later. The most famous Magic the Gathering player of all time, Post Malone, publicly bought the card. There was a lot of speculation regarding the price. At first, someone in the TikTok comments announced that he had bought it for $2.6 million, which everyone kind of just rolled with.
And then that same person later came back and commented like, nah, I made that up.
Yeah. And Post Malone finally, when interviewed, admitted that he bought it for $2 million, which is a lot for a Magic
That's
card.
so much money.
And it made it the most expensive Magic the Gathering card ever sold.
That's 4 times as expensive as the Black Lotus we discussed.
Do you think it'll be the most expensive card to ever be sold, or do you think we're going to expect some higher ones to come out?
I mean, given inflation. And
The one-on-one Cloud Sword. Oh, the one-on-one Spider-Man. No, there's no Spider-Man in Marvel.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
The one-on-one Spider-Man! Anyway, speaking of money, are you subscribed? In this economy, you're not? Please click that button down there. As you noticed, we spent so much money on that small little light up that I just did when I said the word subscribe. Subscribe. Subscribe.
You're gonna look like a
Subscribe.
fool when they remove that feature.
Subscribe. Subscribe.
Oh
Subscribe.
no, card broke again.
Yeah,
Subscribe.
he's stuck again.
Can you reset
Subscribe.
Yeah, wait. I'll do it.
Subscribe.
I'll do it.